Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Again, bad news. Um, Carry on from Xbox bad news from last week. Now we have more bad news. This time from PlayStation. Woohoo! But don't worry, Xbox will drop some bombs next week or end of this week. We'll see. Right. So PlayStation is dropping disc format from January 2028. In response to shifting trends in consumer preference, new games will be released on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. Um, they saying as now they're selling so many digital games versus physical games, and they have to produce all the discs and packaging for those games that they're releasing on PlayStation. So not only for their first party games, but for the all games that are released on PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo, is the same on each platform. They have to produce the disc, produce the packaging, blah blah blah, put them on the shelves. So because at the moment they're selling, I think 85% digital games versus 15% of physical games. However, that digital does include all the indie games. So they put big games that you can buy in digital and disc format, and indie games that you can only buy in digital format into kind of one group, versus uh, 15% that buys in the physical games. I don't think that's completely correct. But they must have quite a lot of indications that that's where everything's going towards. And let's be honest, this is indication, very very strong indication that PlayStation 6 won't have a disc drive at all. I don't think you will be even able to buy it as a separate disc drive to attach to your PlayStation 6. I'll be very surprised if that's the case. I think they're gonna want to kill off the disc format completely. Um, and I know they're saying here that, oh, this is to this transition will enable us to align more closely with how most our community prefers to access and play games today. Okay, maybe most people buy digital games. I buy lots of digital games on Xbox, um, but I like to have a choice. Yeah, if I can, the customers like to have a choice, because there might be a game that um, they just want to start, finish, resell. Yeah, and a lot of people, that's how a lot of people only buy games. They don't have enough money to buy a digital game and then not resell it. They let's say buy the latest God of War, they finish it, then they resell it, then with that money that they have from reselling, they add a little bit more, they buy a new game, or they buy the used game for that money that they got from reselling, and that's how it carries over for them. There is a lot of people who can't just afford not reselling games or not buying used games, and thing this thing what PlayStation is doing here kills off that disc format completely, reselling games completely from January 2028. um, and I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation 6 comes out like November 2027. And since it won't have a disk drive, this indication of January 2028 would make that's why it would make quite big sense. Um, I like how they're saying here, we'll continue to prioritize our resources to drive innovation in how players can access games and provide choices as to where players prefer to purchase new games, whether that's at retailers or PlayStation Store. Well, let's be fucking honest. I mean, like, your customers like to have a choice, and X is full of comments of how they never gonna buy a PlayStation game again, or they're gonna shift to PC, or they're gonna shift to Xbox or Nintendo. That they will offer them a choice, because that's what the users want, a choice. It's not the case if someone buys only digital games. Um, like I personally don't think I bought a physical game since November 2024. And since I was only buying digital games, this doesn't matter. There's plenty of people who want to buy physical games, and you should. And this is still a massive group of people. It's still in millions or even tens of millions of people that buy only that. Uh, so yeah, that's a really really bad decision, and obviously this will make Xbox drop the disc format as well. It's just a no-brainer. They will do the same. Um, Probably partially to cut the cost of the new console. Obviously, the disk drive costs them like 50, well, more or less than that, 40 to $60 to install a drive in a console. And with the RAM and storage prices being so high, they have to kind of find cuts somewhere. Um, so from that point of view, I can understand that. But from customer point of view, I don't. And let's be honest, Xbox will follow that suit, and it's more than sure. Like just from Windows Central writing here that Xbox uh, Helix won't have a disk drive, most probably as well, which which is quite understandable. Why would they if the PlayStation doesn't? I mean, there would be a big win for them if they would include a disk drive, but I don't think they will. And it's funny, like many people raise their pitchforks believing that it will be Xbox that ultimately kills physical games. However, as Xbox and Sony continue to trade blows over who can make the most questionable decisions, Sony appears to have thrown Xbox a left hook. Yeah, like bad news from Xbox last week, bad next from Xbox probably next week, but this time is Sony. It's just bad decisions after bad decisions. Obviously, Sony laying off Bungie staff, Bungie employees, um, Xbox laying off lots of studios. It just never ends. Um, will you be able to digital your games on PlayStation? We don't know that because officially PlayStation didn't come up with anything like that. However, according to Jazz and according to Verge as well, Xbox is working on something called Project Positron, which is this disk to digital program where the your disk is being assigned a license. Well, your account is being assigned a license to that specific disk, and then you don't need to have that disk in a drive anymore. You acquiring a digital license for that game based on that disk that you input into the disk drive. And it's like having like a digital license, so you can do Xbox Play anywhere, you can play in the cloud, and so on and so on if the game is available. You can't do that with Xbox 360 games or OG Xbox games. It's only Xbox One and Xbox Series games, and also not all the Xbox One games, because they're saying that for the testing they found that some of the older Xbox One games you aren't able to attach the license to the disc. And obviously, if you sell the disc and someone inputs that disc into their console, they will acquire the license back from you. So you lose the license. So the only way for you to have the license forever is to keep storing that disc somewhere, or perhaps destroying the disc, because if that license is assigned to you forever, and you want it to be assigned to you forever, then destroying the disk is probably one of the ideas. I don't know. That's just was in my head. But obviously, if you want to then give that disk to your friend and you don't want that game anymore, then you can't just destroy it. And it's funny, Xbox came up with that idea sort of in 2013. Like we reading here, Xbox One had a similar model to this in 2013, but the DRM was so aggressive that it required retailers to unlock the disc. Yeah, back then, as far as I remember, you were able to, after you purchased the game was assigned to your account, and you were able to pass that license to 5 more people with one game. So 5 people could have played on that one copy of the game. But then to sell that game, then the retailer would have to unlock the disc somehow, possibly by paying a fee either to Microsoft or to the publisher. That wasn't very clear because they dropped that idea before the console even came out, so we never actually saw that working. And that was one of the reasons why Xbox One did so bad, because the marketing at the beginning had this sort of DRM. Now that sort of DRM is kind of acceptable, but back then that was a big no-no. So yeah, these obviously quite bad news. I love how PlayStation did mock Xbox back in 2013 of how easy it is to sell your game or give the game to your friend. You just pass it on. But times changed, and digital games won't be available anymore on PlayStation from January 2028. And obviously we're reading here that let's try to find that quote that, as for Project Helix, our sources also suggest that Microsoft next generation console will drop the disk drive too. That's, like I said, that's I think that's quite obvious for everyone. Just they didn't come up. The Xbox didn't want to come up with too many bad news, I guess. Since they're gonna have the layoffs, they're probably gonna tell everyone that they won't have a disk drive as well at some point. Or maybe they wait until the presentation of the new Xbox. Who knows? We're still quite far away from that, so they probably want to figure it out first. All right. That was just my take and my quick news on this. Let me know in the comments what you think about the whole situations. And are you gonna be shifting now towards Xbox, or maybe towards PC, or maybe towards Nintendo? For me, I think I stay as I am, buying most of my games on Xbox digitally, and having exclusive games in disc format on PlayStation, and keeping my PlayStation 5. And hopefully they will come up with some kind of digitalization of those games. I will see. Right. Thank you very much for watching, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye bye.